Hello. Today I'm going to show you, give you a quick example of how I use different patterns in Groove Agent and clump them all together into one sound to give me more flexibility when I'm choosing different grooves to start as the beginning point that I'm going to then take on and edit and do with whatever I want. But this is how I get up and running with plenty of ideas in one go. And it's a little bit fiddly, but once you've learned it, it's not too bad. And I'm going to start with a completely new instance of Groove Agent, and this is significant. Here we have a completely clean agent. I'm going to load kit with patterns, and I'm going to pick this drum and bass kit 1. Okay, now let's have a look at, so you've got G1 ride, F sharp 1 hi-hat closed, just remember those. If we go over to the pattern editor and have a look at that pattern, there's your G1 ride and your hi-hat closed. Okay, I close that down, completely remove that instance of Groove Agent. Now add a new one. So this time I'm going to load a new kit. And here we have load kit with patterns. So now I'll pick this dual djembe, don't know how to pronounce it. And now on the instrument we've got G1 is a djembe B center, and then we've got an A roll 2. And over in our pattern we see all those. Awesome. Okay, if I reset that agent, completely remove everything I can do, every remove and delete I can find. If I load my original kit, drum and bass 1, no sounds are available. It doesn't seem to be able to assign pad names in this pattern editor. Once you've loaded the kit and then you load another kit, it gets upset. Sometimes it will load them randomly. If I load lots of different kits, so now I've got all of these different bass numbers. So here's my instrument. G1 is a clap. If I go and find G1, it's not, there's nothing assigned to G1. Got some stuff over here, but not others anywhere. Back to that djembe that I loaded earlier. That seems to have loaded fully. My G1 was the B center and an A roll 2 on F sharp 1. It's got those right. Let's load the drum and bass kit back up again. What have we got now? So we've got drum and bass kit, and we've loaded the patterns for the drum and bass kit. But when we look at the pattern editor, we've still got all the stuff from the old djembe. I can only presume it's a bug because I can't find any rhyme or reason in how it works. So this is something that's I've just learned to live with. It annoys the hell out of me, but I've just learned to live with it. If I'm building a drum groove, once I've found the sound that I want, I'll throw that track away, start completely from scratch with a brand new one, go into the editor, load that kit nice and clean, and then I've got the correctly assigned drum names for the sounds in that kit. I don't know what the hell that is all about. And if you know how to solve that problem, please tell me. Okay, so that idiosyncrasy out of the way, it is annoying, but let's get on with our lives. We're here to talk about how to combine different patterns together into one drum kit. So we've got this drum kit, and this is the groove, the main groove upon which I want to base everything. This is really close to the sound that I want in the song that I'm currently working on. So I'm working on Evermore at the moment, and I'm just in the process of rebuilding its rhythm basically from the ground up. And I found this rhythm, I really like the sounds, and I really like the groove. So what I want to do now is try to find other grooves, other patterns that I can mess with and do a little bit of experimentation with to get some interesting ideas so that I can build the drum sound for this track. So this is how I do it. I found a second drum kit that had some grooves that I really liked. So I'm going to select a new pattern, pattern 1. Then load pattern group, just the pattern group, and I'm going to search for 4 AM. And now I know there are 16 grooves. I've already auditioned this sound and they plop into those 16 pads there. So now it's complete. It's left everything that was previously there from the existing kit and all of its names still there. But now we've got 16 new patterns to play with, and when we play one of these patterns, it's using the sounds from the drum and bass kit that I chose as my master sound. But now it's playing this new groove that's come from a different kit, and there are things about it I don't like. I don't want this sound over here, for instance. That's okay. I'm not so keen on the clap, don't want that. So how do we go about getting these two patterns a little bit more kind of closely married together? First things first, click this little I button, show info lane. If this info lane isn't visible and that orange button, that button's not orange, click it, make it orange, see this. This is where you can see each of your notes, see the start and end and velocities, really useful. You can edit your data from in here. Why wouldn't you want to? Why isn't this visible all the time? And now we can, if we click outside, we can see how long this pattern is. That's also really useful. So I'm going to make this pattern be a little bit more similar to the groove that I really like from my original kit. Here's my original kit. Here's my original groove. And I'm going to take 2 minutes, well I've already done it, to write down kick 1, kick 2, snare 1, snare 2, hi-hat closed, shaker 1, shaker 2. Those are the sounds I want to base any of my other grooves on. Back over here, this is the groove that I am going to make fit into my song. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get the song running. So now the song is running in the background. In a few bars you're going to hear guitar come in as the song starts playing. So I want Groove Agent to follow the song as it plays. So I click follow transport, and now that's gone orange, and restart the song. Now it's going to play this groove in an appropriate timely manner with the song. Okay, now some of these sounds are wrong, so we're going to fix them. I don't want this. So there are two ways you could possibly go about this. One is to right click on the name, select all notes, pick it up and drag it to wherever you want it to be. That will work. I'm going to undo, Control Z. The problem with doing it that way is that when you drag it, you've either got snap on, where are we? Snap to grid, in which case it'll snap to the grid. Or you take snap off, in which case you completely freeform. Now, these notes might not necessarily be absolutely on the beat. So if this note here, for instance, was a tiny bit behind the beat, so now it's at 101, I either pick it up and drag it over here and have to kind of reset it manually to the right place, which is really tricky, or turn snap on, and now when I drag it up it's going to be exactly on 0. So the way I get round it is to select all of my notes using the little marquee tool, and now I've got my cursors available to me, so I can arrow up and arrow down. If you right click and select all notes and then arrow up, it doesn't take the notes with it. So these are just, you know, annoying things that you have to learn how to get round. Okay, so that's now in place. I've moved that note to where I want it to be. And this clap was also offending us. Let's move that clap down to shaker 2. Now let's hear what we've got. Okay, this constant snare is absolutely unacceptable. if this, just so happens that this part is currently already fully visible, but you might have a longer pattern that wasn't fully visible, you can always zoom out and then you'll be able to see it all. And now I can select all these notes and move them. Where am I going to move them? Let's try there. Okay. So now when the song starts, we'll start getting some context for whether or not that's actually what we want. That's pretty good. And so we're auditioning in real time. If I take those 4 bars of silence out. Okay. Let's try a new one. Certainly don't want this. Literally that simple. Now something else I very regularly do is find bits in one groove, entire chunks of the groove, maybe the kick and snare, that I want to copy somewhere else. Let's do that. So if we go back over to our master groove, this is the one that most closely fits what I want to hear on the song. Okay, and so on and so on. So we're fully zoomed out, and you can see, remember earlier I told you about the info line. This is telling us that this is a 16-beat pattern, which is basically 4 bars. So this is the whole pattern, and I want this kick and snare pattern in its entirety. No problem. Select it all, Control C, copy. Go over to the groove that I want to move that into, this one here. So this is really sparse. We have this second snare sound. I'm actually going to throw that away for the purposes of the demo. Get rid of all those notes. Now then, this is important. Wherever this little internal groove agent cursor is currently set to, that's where it will paste these notes that I'm about to paste in. So if I paste them in, see how it's pasted the first note on that line. Control Z, undo. So make sure when you're about to do one of these paste operations that you pick this little internal line up and move it back to the beginning of the pattern. Another annoying thing, I don't know how to do it any other way. Now press paste, and now it's pasted that whole core kick and snare sound into this groove. See that? Interesting. Cool. And the reason it sounds different is because if we go back over to this one for a second, this has got a snare too. So that's where the other snare hits are coming from. But I didn't want it, you know, I don't want the whole thing to be identical, and it's just introduced that little bit of variance that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go through each of these patterns and listen to it, see whether or not I like the fundamental feel of the sound, of the shape of what I'm looking at. Do they interest me? If they do, I'm going to pick them up and move them to a more appropriate location. If I don't like that hi-hat there, let's try it as a shaker. Let's try it crazy as a kick drum. You know, the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want with these things. But the essential takeaway is pick your master groove, your master sound. What are the best sounds in it? What turn you on about it? Go over to your other grooves and bend them to its will. If you do that, you're going to have loads of flexibility. And now that I've built this new pattern bank, once I've gone through and done all of that groundwork, I can start dragging these things over into Cubase and then start playing around with, you know, putting a bar of this here and a few bars of that there, and I'm going to have all of the flexibility that I've got from the drum editor in Cubase, where I really start fine controlling this. But it's really valuable to have these patterns in Groove Agent, and I have no MIDI data at this point in my song at all. Ignore all the muted tracks. There is no drum information in the song at the moment as it stands. It's just on follow transport mode. So if I turn follow transport mode off, there are no drums. So it's completely still in the Groove Agent box before I've decided I'm good with that. Now let's drag it over to Cubase and start working there. That's how I do it. I hope you found this useful. There are some really annoying features, you know, those things that I've mentioned. Just beware of them and don't let them catch you out. And if you know that they're there and you can avoid them, then Groove Agent is actually awesome. You know, as a rhythm tool, it's fantastic. The sounds are amazing. The vastness of the library is absolutely overwhelming, and you can just lose yourself. This is a lot of sounds, a lot of rhythms, a lot of different, you know, inspirations to go at. It's just a case of bending it to your will. Feel free to pick and choose which of those features, if any, that you want to employ, but I hope that's been of some use to you. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.